He invited his pregnant ex-wife, who was dying of cancer, to sing at his wedding to humiliate her, but when she hit the stage, no one expected her voice to be this powerful. What happened next shattered his carefully built world, exposed every lie, and left hundreds gasping. Stay till the end, subscribe to this channel and watch as one woman, frail but unbreakable, took back everything he tried to steal. The phone slipped from Amanda Carson's fingers and clattered onto the hospital floor. She was bent over, gasping, one hand gripping the side of the bed, the other pressed hard against her swollen stomach as pain tore through her in sharp, unforgiving waves. The baby kicked, hard, almost as if reacting to the chaos inside her body. "Breathe, Amanda," the nurse said urgently. Slow breaths. Amanda tried. Failed. A metallic taste filled her mouth. She swallowed, fighting the urge to vomit again. Then she heard it. The voice. Smooth. Calm. Familiar in a way that made her blood run cold. "Put her on speaker," the voice said through the phone. The nurse hesitated. Amanda didn't need to look at the screen to know who it was. Benjamin Carson. Her ex-husband. The man who had walked out of her life while she was hooked to and for and told her, without blinking, "I didn't marry a liability." Amanda forced herself upright, chest heaving. "Benjamin," she said hoarsely. "Why are you calling me?" A faint chuckle came through the speaker. "Still dramatic, I see." Her hands trembled. "I don't have time for this," she said. "I'm in the hospital." "I know," Benjamin replied casually. "That's actually why I'm calling." The nurse shifted uncomfortably and stepped back, sensing this wasn't a normal conversation. Benjamin continued. "I'm getting married next week." Amanda closed her eyes. Of course he was. She felt something crack inside her, not loudly, but deeply. Like the final thread holding everything together had snapped. "Congratulations," she whispered. "Thank you," Benjamin said. "It's going to be big. High profile. Media will be there." Amanda waited. She knew there was more. There was always more with Benjamin. "I want you to sing," he said. The room went silent. "What?" Amanda asked. "At the wedding," Benjamin clarified. "One song. Short. Emotional. Something that shows forgiveness." Amanda laughed, a broken, disbelieving sound that startled the nurse. "You're joking," she said. Benjamin sighed. Impatient. "Don't make this difficult. You used to sing all the time. People loved it." "That was before you divorced me while I was dying," Amanda snapped. Benjamin's tone hardened. "Lower your voice." Her stomach twisted. The baby kicked again, sharper this time. "Why?" she demanded. "Why would you want me there?" There was a pause. Then Benjamin said the part he hadn't planned to say out loud. "Because it completes the story." Amanda felt sick. "You see," he continued, "people talk. They know you're sick. They know we were married. Having you sing makes me look gracious." She stared at the wall, vision blurring. "You want to parade me," she said slowly. "Pregnant, bald, dying, so people can clap for you." Benjamin didn't deny it. "I'm offering you $10,000, he said instead. "For one song." The nurse inhaled sharply. Amanda's heart pounded. $10,000. That was oxygen tanks. Medication. A few more months of treatment. Maybe enough time to give birth without fearing she wouldn't survive the delivery. "You're disgusting," Amanda whispered. Benjamin laughed. "You always were emotional. Think about your situation. You don't have many options left." That did it. Something inside Amanda shifted. Quietly. Dangerously. "I'll do it," she said. Benjamin paused. Surprised. "Good. I knew you'd be reasonable." Amanda stared at the phone, her grip tightening. "But I choose the song," she added. Benjamin hesitated. Just a fraction of a second. "Fine," he said. "As long as it's appropriate." The line went dead. The nurse rushed forward. Amanda, are you okay? Amanda nodded slowly, though nothing about her was okay. Her body hurt. Her heart hurt more. Later that night, back in her tiny apartment, Amanda sat on the edge of the bed, rubbing her belly as rain tapped softly against the window. The ultrasound photo rested on her nightstand, proof that something pure still existed in her life. Her friend Rachel stood in the doorway, arms crossed, eyes blazing. "You're not actually doing this," Rachel said. "Tell me you're not." Amanda looked up. "I have to." "No, you don't," Rachel argued. "He's humiliating you." "I know." "Then why?" Amanda's voice broke. "Because cancer doesn't care about pride. And neither does hunger." Rachel's anger softened into pain. Amanda inhaled deeply. "But he's wrong about one thing." "What?" Rachel asked. "He thinks I'm going there to beg," Amanda said quietly. "To make him look kind." She stood slowly, every movement deliberate despite the ache in her bones. "I'm going there to tell the truth." Rachel searched her face. "What are you planning?" Amanda walked to the old keyboard in the corner of the room, the one she hadn't touched since the chemo started stealing her strength. She placed her fingers on the keys. They trembled. "I'm writing a song," she said. "About what he did. About what he took." She pressed a key. The note came out shaky, weak. Then she pressed another. And another. Her voice followed, soft at first, then steadier. "I was there when you had nothing," she sang. Rachel's breath caught. Amanda closed her eyes, tears sliding down her cheeks as the words poured out, about sleeping in cars, selling her jewelry, skipping meals so Benjamin could chase dreams he now pretended were his alone. About hospital rooms. About divorce papers. About being replaced. About still being alive. If you've ever loved someone who treated your sacrifice like trash, if you've ever been discarded at your weakest, this is where you lean in. Because what Amanda was doing wasn't just singing, it was reclaiming herself. By the time she finished, her hands were shaking violently. Rachel wiped her face. "Amanda, this could destroy him." Amanda nodded. "I know. And it could destroy you too," Rachel warned. Amanda looked down at her belly. "I'm already dying," she said softly. "But my voice isn't." Outside, the rain intensified, thunder rolling in the distance. And somewhere across the city, Benjamin Carson stood in a glass-walled penthouse, practicing his wedding speech in front of a mirror, smiling at his reflection, completely unaware that the woman he planned to mock was preparing a song that would tear his world apart. If this story already has your heart racing, don't walk away, subscribe, because what happens on that wedding stage will make this moment feel small. Amanda rested her hand over her stomach as the baby kicked again. "Just hold on," she whispered. "Mommy's not done yet." And with that, the song that would change everything had begun. Benjamin Carson adjusted his cufflinks and smiled at his reflection. The mirror showed exactly what he wanted the world to see. Confidence, success, control. The kind of man who didn't lose. The kind of man people admired without asking questions. "Perfect," he muttered. Behind him, the penthouse buzzed with quiet luxury. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the city like a trophy. Champagne chilled on marble counters. His phone lay on the table, vibrating non-stop with congratulatory messages. He ignored them. Instead, he replayed the call in his head. "I'll do it." Amanda's voice had been weak, but compliant. Exactly how he remembered her at the end. He smirked. "You always knew your place," he said to his reflection. A knock came at the door. "Come in," Benjamin said. Serena Blake stepped inside, heels clicking softly against the polished floor. She looked flawless, tailored white blazer, sleek hair, calm confidence. The daughter of a venture capitalist whose name opened doors Benjamin had spent years banging on. "Your assistant says the seating chart is finalized," she said. "And the press confirmed attendance." Benjamin turned, kissing her cheek. "Told you I had everything handled." Serena's eyes drifted to the city view. You're sure inviting your ex is wise? Benjamin laughed. That's exactly why it works. She studied him. Most men would want their past buried. Most men didn't build empires from nothing, Benjamin replied. People love redemption arcs. A dying ex-wife singing at her former husband's wedding? It makes me look merciful. Serena frowned slightly. She's very sick, right? Benjamin waved a dismissive hand. She always exaggerated. That was a lie, and he knew it. Amanda hadn't exaggerated when she collapsed in the kitchen, clutching her stomach in pain while begging him not to leave. She hadn't exaggerated when doctors used words like aggressive and terminal. But those details didn't serve him anymore. You don't feel guilty? Serena asked. Benjamin's smile didn't reach his eyes. Guilt is for people who hesitate. He walked back to the mirror. She chose this. Across the city, Amanda lay awake on her couch, unable to sleep. The apartment was quiet except for the hum of the old refrigerator and the faint sound of traffic outside. She pressed a hand to her belly, breathing through a sharp pain that radiated down her spine. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. We'll need you at the venue by 4 p.m. sharp. Hair and makeup will be provided. Please dress appropriately. Amanda stared at the screen. Dress appropriately. She imagined herself surrounded by silk gowns and diamonds, her body swollen, scarred, and fragile, standing out like a bruise on a polished surface. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. Then she typed back. I don't need makeup. 3 dots appeared almost instantly. This is not optional. Amanda smiled for the first time in days. She didn't respond. The next morning, Benjamin sat across from his publicist, sipping espresso. This is genius, the publicist said, scrolling through his tablet. The optics alone. People will eat this up. Benjamin leaned back. Make sure the cameras catch her entering. Slow shots. Emotional. And the song? The publicist asked. Benjamin shrugged. She'll sing something sad. They always do. He didn't notice the faint tremor in his hand when he set the cup down. He didn't think about the nights Amanda stayed up praying over him when investors laughed in his face. Or how she sold her grandmother's necklace to pay his first business registration fee. Or how she once skipped chemo to attend a meeting for him. Those memories had no place in his future. By afternoon, the hotel ballroom buzzed with preparation. Crystal chandeliers glittered overhead. Rows of white roses lined the aisle. Everything screamed money. Benjamin walked through the space, nodding approvingly. She'll be seated here until she performs, he told the coordinator, pointing to a side entrance. I don't want disruption. Understood, the coordinator said. Outside, a wheelchair-accessible van pulled up quietly. Amanda stepped out slowly, assisted by Rachel. Her movements were careful, controlled, every step measured. She wore a simple black dress, loose enough to accommodate her pregnancy, plain enough to disappear. Or so they thought. As they rolled her toward the service entrance, Amanda caught her reflection in the glass doors. She looked small. But her eyes were steady. Still time to walk away, Rachel whispered. Amanda shook her head. Not now. Back inside, Benjamin laughed with a group of investors, champagne flute in hand. One song, he said lightly. Then we move on. Brave of you, one man said. Most wouldn't face their past like that. Benjamin smiled. I've never been afraid of weakness. Across the hall, Amanda was placed in a small waiting room. No mirror. No flowers. Just a chair and a bottle of water. A coordinator peeked in. You're on in 10. Amanda nodded. She closed her eyes and placed a hand on her belly. I need you with me, she whispered. The baby kicked. Hard. A sharp knock interrupted the moment. The door opened. Benjamin stepped inside. For a split second, his smile faltered. Amanda looked thinner than he remembered. Paler. fragile in a way that made something uncomfortable stir in his chest. He pushed it down. "You made it," he said smoothly. "Good." Amanda looked up at him. "You didn't think I would." Benjamin smirked. "You always did what was necessary." She studied him quietly. "You look well." "I am," he replied. "Life's been generous." Amanda nodded slowly. "It always rewards the right people." Benjamin leaned closer. "Remember, keep it tasteful. This is my day." Amanda met his gaze. "So was our marriage," she said softly. Something flickered in his eyes. Annoyance, maybe. "Don't do this," he warned. "This isn't the time." Amanda stood, gripping the chair for balance. "No," she said. "This is exactly the time." Before Benjamin could respond, the coordinator appeared. "We're ready." The music swelled faintly from the ballroom beyond. Benjamin straightened his jacket. "Break a leg," he said with a thin smile. As he turned to leave, Amanda spoke. "You should have let me die quietly," she said. Benjamin paused, but didn't turn around. The door closed. In the ballroom, guests took their seats, laughter filling the air, unaware of the storm about to walk onto the stage. Amanda inhaled deeply, steadying herself as the wheelchair rolled forward. If you've ever been silenced by someone who benefited from your sacrifice, if you've ever watched someone rewrite history while you paid the price, stay with her. Don't look away. Because the truth is about to be sung where lies once ruled. The lights dimmed. The microphone waited. And Benjamin Carson had no idea that the woman he thought he'd controlled was seconds away from exposing everything. The lights dimmed gradually, conversations tapering off into confused murmurs. Benjamin Carson straightened in his seat at the head table, one arm resting possessively around Serena's waist. He smiled for the cameras, already imagining tomorrow's headlines. Successful developer honors dying ex-wife in emotional wedding moment. A spotlight snapped on. Gasps rippled through the ballroom. Amanda was wheeled onto the stage slowly, deliberately, her black dress stark against the white roses and crystal decor. Her body looked fragile beneath the lights, her pregnancy unmistakable, her face pale but composed. A hush fell over the room, not reverent, but uneasy. This wasn't the sentimental spectacle people had expected. Benjamin's smile tightened. Whispers began. "Is she pregnant? Oh my God, she looks so sick. Is that really his ex-wife?" Amanda's wheelchair stopped at the microphone. She placed both hands on the armrests and stood on her own. The effort was visible. Pain flashed briefly across her face, then disappeared behind calm resolve. Benjamin leaned toward Serena, voice low. "She's milking this." Serena didn't respond. Amanda adjusted the microphone slightly. Her fingers trembled, but her eyes didn't. She looked out at the room. 300 strangers dressed in luxury. People who had never seen her sleep on hospital chairs. Never seen her vomit after chemo. Never seen divorce papers slapped onto her bed while monitors beeped behind her. She took a breath. "My name is Amanda Carson," she said. Her voice was quiet, but it carried. "I was married to the groom for 11 years. A murmur rolled through the crowd. Benjamin's jaw clenched. "I was asked to sing today," Amanda continued, "because this moment was supposed to represent grace." She paused. "Forgiveness." Her gaze flicked briefly toward Benjamin. "Just long enough. But before I sing," she said, "there's something I need to say." Benjamin shifted in his chair. "This wasn't agreed," he muttered. Serena frowned. "What wasn't?" Amanda placed a hand over her stomach instinctively. "When Benjamin and I met, he was sleeping in his car," she said calmly. "He had no money, no connections, no certainty that tomorrow would be better than today." Benjamin's pulse quickened. "I worked 2 jobs," Amanda went on. "Sometimes 3. I sold the last thing my grandmother left me so he could register his first business. A man in the audience lowered his champagne glass slowly. I skipped meals so he could eat. I prayed when he didn't believe. I stayed when everyone else told me to leave. Benjamin leaned toward the coordinator. Cut the mic, he whispered sharply. The coordinator hesitated. Sir. Now. But the sound system didn't falter. Amanda inhaled shakily and began to sing. The melody was simple. Bare. No flourish. No theatrics. I was there when the doors stayed closed. When your name meant nothing at all. Her voice wasn't perfect. It was honest. People stilled. Phones rose quietly into the air. Amanda's eyes shimmered as the lyrics deepened. I was there when the sickness came. When love was tested by pain. Benjamin stood abruptly. That's enough, he snapped, stepping forward. Serena caught his arm. Wait. Amanda's voice grew stronger. When my body broke, you walked away. Said you needed a wife, not someone who couldn't stay. Gasps exploded across the ballroom. Benjamin's face flushed. This is a lie, he said loudly. She's confused. Amanda looked directly at him now. No, she said, not singing this time. I was in a hospital bed when you handed me divorce papers. I was vomiting from chemo when you told me I was an embarrassment. The room erupted into stunned silence. Serena stood slowly. You divorced her, while she was sick? She asked. Benjamin scoffed. She's twisting things. Amanda's hands gripped the microphone. I apologize to you for being sick, she said, her voice cracking. I begged you to stay. You blocked my number the day after the divorce was finalized. Someone sobbed softly in the crowd. Amanda resumed singing, this time louder, steadier. I am not your burden. I am not your shame. You don't get to rewrite love then crown yourself in fame. Benjamin lunged toward the stage. Turn it off, he shouted. Security hesitated, unsure. Serena stepped between him and the stage. Don't, she said quietly. Benjamin stared at her. She's humiliating me. Serena's eyes glistened. No. She's telling the truth. Amanda's breath hitched, but she didn't stop. And if this is my last song, let it be clear and true. I survived you leaving. And I'm still standing here. Without you. The final note trembled through the room. Then silence. A thick, unbearable silence. Amanda lowered the microphone, exhausted, her body visibly shaking. Rachel rushed forward, ready to catch her if she fell. Serena walked toward the stage slowly. Benjamin grabbed her wrist. What are you doing? She yanked her hand free. Serena climbed the steps, knelt in front of Amanda, and took her trembling hands. I didn't know, she said, voice breaking. I swear I didn't know. Amanda swallowed hard. I never wanted to hurt you. Serena stood and turned to the room. This wedding, she said clearly, is over. The room erupted. What? Is she serious? Benjamin's face drained of color. Serena, don't do this. She removed her ring and let it fall to the floor. You don't get to build your success on someone's suffering, she said. Not on mine. Not on hers. Applause broke out, hesitant at first, then roaring. Amanda sagged into Rachel's arms. If you've ever watched someone who used you get celebrated while you suffered in silence, if you've ever been erased so someone else could shine, don't look away. This is the moment truth fights back. Benjamin stood frozen as guests pulled out their phones, whispers turning into outrage. One man shook his head. I invested in this guy. A woman wiped her eyes. How could he do that to her? Serena raised her phone. We're starting a fundraiser. Tonight. For her treatment. Cheers erupted. Benjamin stumbled backward, his world collapsing in real time. Amanda looked out at the crowd, tears streaming down her face, not from pain, but from release. She had told the truth. But she didn't yet know what that truth was about to cost Benjamin, or how far the consequences would go. And as cameras flashed and voices rose, one thing became clear. This wasn't the end of Amanda's story. It was only the beginning. The applause didn't fade, it multiplied. It rolled across the ballroom like a wave, drowning out the string quartet, swallowing the wedding planner's frantic whispers, shaking the chandeliers above. Guests stood one after another, clapping not politely, but fiercely. Some cried openly. Others stared at Benjamin as if seeing him for the first time. Amanda barely registered the sound. Her legs buckled. Rachel caught her just in time, wrapping an arm around her waist as Amanda sagged, breath shallow, vision dimming. The room tilted. Lights blurred into white streaks. "Amanda, sit, Rachel whispered urgently. Serena snapped into motion. "Water. Now. And a chair." Someone rushed forward. Someone else shoved a glass into Amanda's trembling hands. She sipped mechanically, fighting the nausea clawing up her throat. Benjamin stood frozen near the stage steps. For the first time in his life, there was nothing he could say that would fix this. "This is insane," he muttered. "She planned this." A man near the front turned sharply. "You planned it," he said. "You invited her." Another voice followed. "You divorced her while she was sick." Benjamin raised his hands. "You don't understand." "No," Serena cut in, her voice slicing through the noise. "We do." She stepped fully onto the stage, standing beside Amanda instead of above her. The cameras swung instantly, lenses hungry. "I was told this was about forgiveness," Serena said. "I was told this was a generous act." She looked down at Amanda, whose hand was still protectively curved around her belly. "This woman was abandoned while fighting for her life," Serena continued. "And she was brought here tonight as a prop." The murmurs grew louder, angrier. Benjamin felt sweat bead at his temples. "Serena," he said sharply, "you're emotional. Let's talk privately." She laughed, a short, incredulous sound. "Privately? That's your favorite place to rewrite the truth." A reporter near the aisle lifted her phone higher. Serena took a breath. "There will be no wedding tonight." Gasps erupted again. "And there will be no silence," Serena added. "Not anymore." Benjamin surged forward. "You're destroying everything." Serena turned to him, eyes blazing. "You destroyed it the moment you chose cruelty over decency." She faced the crowd. "We're starting a fundraiser. Right now. Every donation will go directly toward Amanda's treatment and the care of her unborn child." Phones lit up across the room like stars. Benjamin's publicist shoved through the crowd, panic etched across his face. "We need to shut this down," he hissed. "This is going viral now." Benjamin's chest tightened. "Stop it," he snapped. "This is my event." "It was," Serena replied coldly. "Now it's hers." Amanda lifted her head slightly, dizzy, confused. "Serena, you don't have to." "I do," Serena said softly, kneeling again. "Because if I stay silent, I'm no better." She squeezed Amanda's hands. "I'm sorry." The words landed heavier than the applause ever could. Across the ballroom, investors whispered urgently among themselves. One man scrolled his phone, face darkening by the second. "Benjamin," he said, stepping forward, "there's already backlash online." "What backlash?" Benjamin barked. The man turned the screen toward him. A clip of Amanda singing, raw, shaking, unfiltered, had already crossed 50,000 views. And climbing. Hashtags stacked beneath it. Hashtag I am still here, hashtag justice for Amanda, hashtag believe women. Benjamin's throat went dry. Security approached hesitantly. "Sir, the guests are asking you to leave the stage area." He stared at them. "This is my wedding." One guard met his eyes evenly. "Not anymore." Rachel helped Amanda into the wheelchair again as applause followed her off stage, louder than before. People reached out, touching her hands, whispering encouragement, blessings, promises. You're brave. You saved so many women tonight. We believe you. Amanda nodded weakly, overwhelmed. In the hallway outside the ballroom, she suddenly retched, her body folding inward as pain seized her abdomen. Rachel screamed for help. A medic rushed over. She needs to lie down now. Amanda gasped, clutching her stomach. The baby. Serena appeared instantly. Call an ambulance. Now. Back inside the ballroom, Benjamin watched the chaos spiral beyond his control. His phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't congratulations. It was a message from his largest investor. We need to talk. Immediately. Another followed. Our legal team is reviewing our association. Then another. Do not use my name again. Benjamin felt the room closing in. This will pass, he muttered to himself. This always passes. But the whispers were no longer whispers. They're saying he blocked her after the divorce. He left her with nothing. How could anyone do that to a pregnant woman? Benjamin backed toward the exit, face pale. Serena stood at the center of the room, fielding questions, directing donations, commanding attention with a calm authority he'd never truly seen before. She was untouchable now. And he was exposed. Outside, rain hammered the pavement as paramedics loaded Amanda into the ambulance. She winced as they secured her, pain pulsing through her body. Am I okay? She whispered. We're taking you in, the medic said gently. Just stay with us. As the ambulance doors closed, Amanda caught one last glimpse of the hotel entrance, of a man standing alone under the awning, phone pressed to his ear, shouting at someone who no longer cared. Carson. For the first time, she didn't feel afraid of him. She felt free. The ambulance pulled away, siren wailing into the night. And behind her, inside a glittering ballroom now buzzing with outrage and truth, Benjamin's empire began to crack, audibly, irreversibly. But what no one knew yet, what Benjamin would discover too late, was that the song hadn't only exposed his past. It had triggered consequences far bigger than a cancelled wedding. And they were already moving. The ambulance doors slammed shut, sealing Amanda inside a cocoon of sirens and fluorescent light. Stay with me, the paramedic said, fingers checking her pulse. What's your pain level? Amanda tried to answer, but another contraction ripped through her, sharp and terrifying. She cried out, instinctively curling around her stomach. My baby, she gasped. Please, my baby. We've got you, the medic said firmly. Just breathe. As the vehicle sped through traffic, Amanda's phone buzzed non-stop in her lap. Messages. Unknown numbers. Missed calls piling up faster than she could read them. Rachel glanced at the screen, eyes widening. Amanda. Your song is everywhere. Amanda turned her head weakly. What? Rachel held the phone closer. A video, grainy, raw, Amanda at the microphone, voice shaking, eyes burning with truth. Views climbing in real time. Hundreds of thousands. Comments flooded beneath it. He's a monster. How do you abandon someone like that? Protect women like Amanda. Cancel him. Amanda closed her eyes, overwhelmed. She hadn't sung for attention. She'd sung because silence was killing her. At the hospital, doctors rushed her into a room, voices overlapping. Blood pressures unstable. She's 8 months. We need fetal monitoring now. Rachel stood frozen against the wall as Amanda was wheeled away, her cries echoing down the corridor. Outside, Carson paced the hotel lobby like a trapped animal. His phone was glued to his ear, his voice low and frantic. No, this is being blown out of proportion, he snapped. She ambushed me. Silence on the other end. Benjamin's face tightened. You're pulling out? After everything I've done. Another pause. His hand dropped. The call ended. He stared at the screen, breathing hard. Benjamin, his publicist said cautiously. We need to issue a statement. Deny everything, Benjamin said instantly. Say she's unstable. Say she wanted revenge. The publicist hesitated. Sir, that's not going to work. Benjamin whirled on him. I built this company from nothing. And the internet just watched the woman you left for dead tell her story, the publicist replied quietly. People believe her. Across the city, Serena sat in a private room with her phone plugged into a charger, answering messages with steady hands. Donations climbed by the second. 10,000. 50,000. 100,000. She swallowed hard. A reporter leaned in. Why did you cancel the wedding so publicly? Serena didn't flinch. Because silence protects abusers. The reporter blinked. I won't build my life on someone else's suffering, Serena continued. And neither should anyone watching. That clip spread almost as fast as Amanda's song. Back in the hospital, Amanda drifted in and out of consciousness. She felt hands holding hers. Heard muffled voices. Felt the baby move, weakly now. Heart rates dropping, a doctor said. Amanda's eyes fluttered open. Panic surged. No, she whispered. Please. Rachel squeezed her hand, tears streaming. You're not alone. Stay with us. Amanda tried to speak, but darkness crept in at the edges of her vision. And somewhere between pain and prayer, she wondered if telling the truth had cost her everything. Meanwhile, Benjamin sat alone in his penthouse, suit jacket discarded, tie loosened, sweat soaking through his shirt. The city lights outside no longer felt triumphant. They felt accusatory. His phone buzzed again. This time, it was his mother. He hesitated, then answered. What did you do? She asked, her voice shaking. Benjamin scoffed. She's manipulating people. There was a long pause. I saw the video, his mother said quietly. Is it true? Benjamin opened his mouth. Nothing came out. She exhaled sharply. I didn't raise you to abandon your wife while she was dying. The line went dead. Benjamin slammed the phone onto the table. This is her fault, he muttered. She wanted this. But even he didn't believe it anymore. Notifications kept coming. A board member resigning. A charity severing ties. A real estate deal, paused pending review. Each buzz felt like a hammer blow. If you've ever watched someone who hurt you get applauded while you suffered in silence, if you've ever been told to stay quiet so someone else could stay powerful, don't turn away now. Because this is the moment the truth starts collecting its debt. At the hospital, a doctor stepped out into the waiting area where Rachel paced. We had some complications, he said gently. But, your friend is stable for now. Rachel collapsed into a chair, sobbing. And the baby? She asked. The doctor hesitated. The baby's fighting, he said. Just like the mother. Rachel nodded through tears. She always has. Back at the penthouse, Benjamin poured himself a drink with shaking hands. His phone buzzed again. Unknown number. He almost ignored it. Almost. He answered. This is Detective Harris, a voice said. We'd like to ask you a few questions regarding allegations that have surfaced tonight. Benjamin's heart slammed into his ribs. Allegations. Yes, the detective replied. About financial coercion, abandonment during medical crisis, and possible misuse of marital assets. Benjamin laughed nervously. This is ridiculous. Is it? The detective asked calmly. We'll be in touch. The call ended. Benjamin sank into a chair, head in his hands. For the first time since the wedding invitation, fear replaced arrogance. Real fear. Across town, Amanda lay pale against white sheets, machines beeping steadily beside her. She stirred faintly, lips moving. Rachel leaned close. Amanda? I'm here. Amanda's eyes opened just enough to focus. Did anyone hear me? She whispered. Rachel smiled through tears. The whole world did. Amanda exhaled, a small, tired smile forming. Then her eyes closed again. And as dawn crept toward the city, bringing headlines, investigations, and consequences no one could stop, two battles continued in parallel. One woman fighting for life after finally being heard. And one man realizing that the story he tried to control had turned on him. But the most dangerous moment was still coming. Because Benjamin Carson wasn't done yet. And desperation makes men do terrible things. Morning didn't arrive gently. It crashed. Headlines exploded across every screen before the sun fully rose. CEO under investigation after pregnant wife collapses. Whistleblower song sparks national outrage. Board demands emergency vote. Benjamin woke to the sound of his phone vibrating non-stop on the marble nightstand. He didn't check it at first. He just lay there, staring at the ceiling, heart pounding like something was chasing him. When he finally grabbed the phone, the numbers made his stomach drop. Stock down 18%. His name trending, above the song, above the hospital update, above everything. Not admiration. Not curiosity. Disgust. He swung his legs off the bed, anger surging fast enough to drown the fear. She planned this, he muttered, pacing. She turned them against me. His assistant's voice came through the speaker, brittle and rushed. Benjamin, the board is demanding you step down temporarily. And there's something else. Benjamin stopped walking. What? Amanda's medical records were subpoenaed this morning. The room seemed to tilt. That's illegal. They're claiming concern for the unborn child. Benjamin laughed sharply. Concern. Now. He ended the call and stared at his reflection in the mirror, bloodshot eyes, jaw clenched so tight it ached. You're not taking this from me, he said to himself. I won't let her win. Across town, the hospital room was quiet except for the steady rhythm of machines. Amanda slept, her face pale but calmer, one hand resting protectively over her stomach. Rachel sat nearby, scrolling through messages she could barely keep up with. Strangers offering to pay medical bills. Women sharing their own stories. Mothers writing long paragraphs that ended with "thank you for speaking." A nurse entered softly. She's stable, she said. Still high risk, but she's holding. Rachel nodded, tears pooling again. She didn't think anyone would care. The nurse paused. People always care. They're just waiting for permission to say it out loud. Amanda stirred, her brows knitting slightly, as if even in sleep she could feel the weight of the world pressing in. By noon, protests had formed outside Benjamin's headquarters. No chanting at first. Just signs. We believe her. Power without accountability is abuse. Silence ends here. Employees watched from inside the glass building as security tightened the doors. Inside the boardroom, Benjamin stood alone at the head of the table while faces appeared on screens around him. Familiar. Powerful. Cold. This is no longer about public relations, one board member said. This is about ethics. You're overreacting, Benjamin snapped. She humiliated me on purpose. Another voice cut in. She was dying. Silence followed. Benjamin's chest rose sharply. She exaggerated. A woman on the screen leaned forward. Medical reports don't exaggerate. Benjamin's hands curled into fists. So what? You'll destroy the company because of a domestic dispute. Because of abuse, she corrected. And because you thought money could bury it. The vote was swift. Suspension pending investigation. Benjamin stared at the screen as it went dark, one face at a time disappearing until he was alone again. His empire. Gone in under 10 minutes. He grabbed a glass from the table and hurled it at the wall. It shattered, shards skittering across the floor like his control. They chose her, he whispered. They chose her. Meanwhile, Serena's interview aired nationwide. I almost married him, she said calmly, looking straight into the camera. And I keep thinking, what if I hadn't walked away? What if I'd been the next woman people told to stay quiet? She paused, swallowing emotion. If you're watching this and you recognize that fear, don't wait for it to nearly kill you. That clip broke something open. Hotlines lit up. Stories poured out. And Benjamin Carson's name became shorthand for everything people were done tolerating. Back at the hospital, a doctor rushed into Amanda's room, urgency replacing calm. Her blood pressure's spiking again, he said. We may need to deliver early. Rachel's breath caught. Is the baby in danger? The doctor didn't answer immediately. Amanda's eyes fluttered open, sensing the shift. What's happening? She whispered. Rachel took her hand. They're just being careful. Amanda searched her face, then nodded faintly. If anything happens, she murmured, promise me, don't let him rewrite this. Rachel's voice broke. I promise. Across the city, Benjamin sat in his car outside the hospital parking structure, hood pulled low, eyes fixed on the entrance. His phone buzzed with another alert. Amanda admitted for emergency delivery. His jaw tightened. She's still controlling the story, he muttered. He opened the glove compartment and stared at a manila folder inside. Documents. Leverage. A plan he'd kept for, just in case. His phone rang again. Unknown number. He answered. You should stay away from the hospital, a calm voice said. For your own good. Benjamin smiled slowly. I'm done staying away, he replied. He hung up, shoved the car into drive, and headed toward the entrance. Inside the hospital, alarms began to sound as nurses rushed past Rachel. Amanda cried out, pain tearing through her again. The doctor barked orders. Prep the ore now. Rachel stood frozen, heart racing, as a familiar figure stepped through the sliding doors at the far end of the corridor. Benjamin. Security hadn't stopped him yet. Their eyes met across the hallway. His expression wasn't remorse. It was resolve. And as Amanda was rushed toward surgery, unaware he was even there, one terrifying question hung in the air. What would Benjamin do now that he had nothing left to lose? Security reacted a second too late. Benjamin moved fast, slipping past the nurse's station as alarms echoed down the corridor. His polished shoes skidded slightly on the hospital floor, but he didn't slow. He looked like a man running toward oxygen, not consequences. Sir, you can't be here, a guard shouted. Benjamin didn't turn around. I'm the father, he barked. Move. Rachel spun as she heard his voice. Her heart slammed into her throat. No, she whispered, stepping into his path. You don't get to do this. Not now. Benjamin stopped inches from her face. Up close, the cracks were obvious. Dark circles under his eyes, a tremor in his jaw. But his smile was steady, practiced. You always were dramatic, he said softly. I just came to check on my family. Rachel laughed, sharp and disbelieving. Your family. You humiliated her. You nearly killed her. He leaned closer, lowering his voice. Careful. Hospitals have ears. A nurse rushed between them. Sir, she's in emergency surgery. You need to leave. Benjamin's gaze flicked past the nurse toward the operating room doors, already closing. For the first time, something like panic flashed across his face. What do you mean surgery? He snapped. The nurse didn't answer. She didn't have to. Benjamin's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, then froze. Another alert. Prosecutor confirms criminal charges pending. He exhaled slowly, like someone calculating odds. This is getting messy, he murmured. Rachel crossed her arms, shaking. You did this. Benjamin's eyes hardened. No. She did. By refusing to stay small. Security finally caught up, gripping his arm. Sir, you're trespassing. Benjamin didn't resist as they escorted him away, but he twisted his head back toward Rachel, voice low and venomous. This isn't over. As the doors slammed shut behind him, Rachel's knees buckled. She grabbed the counter, fighting tears. Inside the operating room, time stretched and snapped. Amanda drifted in and out of awareness, bright lights blurring above her. Voices overlapped, medical terms, urgent commands. Pain surged, then faded under medication, then surged again. "Stay with us, Amanda," a doctor urged. "You're doing great." Her hand twitched, instinctively searching for her stomach. "My baby," she whispered. "Please." "We've got her," the doctor said. "Focus on breathing." Somewhere deep inside, Amanda felt a strange calm settle. Not peace, resolve. The kind that comes when you've already survived the worst and refuse to let fear have the last word. Outside, the waiting room filled with reporters despite hospital protests. Phones were raised. Whispers spread. "She's still fighting." She sang knowing this could happen. "That man is evil." Rachel paced, hands clasped so tight her fingers ached. Every few minutes, her phone buzzed with messages from strangers. "We're praying." "She gave me courage." "Don't let him near her." If you're watching this and you've ever wished someone had stood between you and the person who hurt you, this is that moment. This is where silence finally meets resistance. And if stories like this matter to you, if you believe pain deserves witnesses, this is why you stay, why you subscribe, why you don't look away. A doctor finally emerged, pulling down his mask. Rachel rushed forward. "How is she?" The doctor hesitated. "The baby's stable." But Amanda lost a lot of blood. Rachel's breath caught. "Is she?" "She's alive," he said carefully. "But the next hour is critical." Relief and terror collided in Rachel's chest. Across town, Benjamin sat in the back of a patrol car for questioning. "Not arrested, not yet." His lawyer's voice crackled through the phone. "They're building a case," the lawyer said. "And there's more." Benjamin stared out the window, jaw clenched. "What?" Someone leaked internal emails. Payments. Threats. "If this goes to trial." Benjamin cut the call and closed his eyes. For the first time, he didn't see a way out. But then his phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. "If you want this to stop, I need to see you. Tonight." Benjamin's lips curled into a slow smile. Back at the hospital, Amanda opened her eyes. Rachel was at her side instantly. Hey, you're okay." Amanda swallowed, voice barely there. "My baby." "She's here," Rachel said, tears spilling. "She's beautiful." Amanda exhaled, a fragile smile touching her lips. Then her expression shifted, eyes focusing on something beyond Rachel. "He's not done," Amanda whispered. Rachel shook her head. "He can't hurt you anymore." Amanda squeezed her hand weakly. "Promise me, if he comes back, don't let him take her." Rachel nodded fiercely. "I promise." Down the hall, a nurse glanced at the entrance as a man in a hoodie stepped inside, head lowered. Not Benjamin. Someone else. Someone who didn't belong. And as the elevator doors slid shut behind him, carrying him toward the maternity floor, one terrifying thought surfaced. What if Benjamin wasn't the only danger left? Amanda's body shivered as she lay under the harsh hospital lights, still weak but awake. The hum of machines and the faint squeak of nurses' shoes against linoleum became a rhythm she clung to, grounding herself. Every breath hurt. Every movement reminded her of the fight she had endured, and the one she hadn't yet finished. Rachel squeezed her hand, whispering softly, "You're strong. You survived the worst." Amanda swallowed. I can't believe he's still out there." The words were barely out when a soft knock echoed on the door. A security guard peeked in, frowning. "Ma'am, there's someone here asking to see you. Says it's urgent." Amanda's pulse spiked. "Who?" The guard shrugged. "Wouldn't say. But he looks familiar." Before Amanda could process, The door creaked open wider. A man in a tailored suit stepped inside, eyes sharp, hands hidden in his pockets. Benjamin Carson. His presence sucked the air from the room. Rachel moved instinctively between them. "You're not coming any closer." Benjamin's gaze flicked to Amanda. He didn't smile, didn't apologize. He looked calculating. "You think your song changed anything? The world applauds now, but it won't last. People forget." Amanda's lips trembled, but she lifted her chin. "I don't need the world to remember. I just need it to matter." Benjamin scoffed. "Matter? You mean guilt? Sympathy? That's all this was." A nurse appeared, tensing. "Sir, you're trespassing. You need to leave now." Benjamin ignored her, taking a step closer. "You're lying to yourself if you think your story shields you. The truth about business, about debts, about contracts. People will hear it. And when they do..." Rachel's hand shot out, gripping his arm. "Stop it. You are not scaring her. Not today. Not ever." Benjamin pulled back slightly, smirking. "Bold words from someone on my payroll." Rachel's jaw tightened. "I quit. Today. I'm done protecting monsters." Benjamin blinked, then laughed, low and dangerous. "You think walking away changes anything? You have no idea what I can do." Amanda's voice cracked but carried over the tension. "I've seen everything you can do. I've been abandoned, humiliated, and nearly killed. And I'm still here. Pregnant. Alive. Stronger than you ever were." Benjamin's smirk faltered. Rage flickered across his face. "Alive? You think you're safe just because you survived a night or two?" Amanda's breathing grew heavy, but she met him without fear. "I survived years of your cruelty. You'll not survive my truth." Benjamin's phone buzzed. He glanced down, tension building again. He read the screen, then cursed under his breath. "They're not stopping. The donations, the media, everyone's against me." Amanda leaned forward slightly, weak but determined. "And that's because you're a coward. You left me to die. You abandoned a life you swore to protect. People don't forgive monsters who destroy love." Benjamin's knuckles whitened around his phone. "You think this is over? I still have leverage. Documents. Contracts. Secrets that can ruin you, even her. Even the baby." Amanda's eyes widened for just a second. Her hand instinctively moved over her stomach, protecting the life inside her. But then she exhaled and held his gaze. "Nothing you have can touch me. Nothing you do can undo what's right. The truth is louder than your lies." Benjamin's face twisted in fury. He stepped back, muttering, pacing. "I will not be exposed like this. I will not be humiliated." The hospital doors burst open suddenly. Police officers filled the room, badges flashing. "Benjamin Carson," one barked, voice echoing. "You are required to come with us. You are under investigation for abuse, coercion, and harassment." Benjamin froze. His phone slipped from his hand. Every muscle tensed as the weight of consequence settled on him. Amanda's lips curved into the faintest smile. "Finally." Benjamin's eyes darted around, desperate. "This is a setup. This is all lies." The lead officer stepped forward, hand on his shoulder. "You had your chance to control the story. You didn't. Now you answer for your actions." Amanda's chest heaved. She had faced every nightmare he could throw at her, and still, she was alive, pregnant, strong, and surrounded by people who refused to let him manipulate the narrative any longer. Rachel leaned in. "See. You're not alone. Not ever." Benjamin's face turned a shade of white she hadn't thought possible. He struggled against the officers, fury and panic mingling, but the cuffs clicked around his wrists. Amanda's eyes followed him as he was led away. She whispered softly, more to herself than anyone else, You can't touch me anymore. You never could. Outside the room, reporters were gathering, phones raised. Tweets, videos, and live streams spread faster than Benjamin could process. His empire was unraveling before his eyes, the world finally seeing the truth of the man behind the mask. Amanda sank back against the pillows, exhausted. But for the first time in months, her shoulders relaxed. She had survived the wedding, the betrayal, the fear, the abandonment. And now, justice was finally coming. Rachel gripped her hand tightly. The fight isn't over yet, she whispered. But today you won. And everyone watching knows your courage. Amanda nodded, whispering to herself. For her. For the baby. For everyone who was silenced. And far below, in the city that once cheered Benjamin's success, his downfall made headlines everywhere. The storm he'd created around Amanda's life had returned to him in full force. And this time, there would be no hiding. If you've ever been silenced, erased, or abandoned by someone who promised love and protection, pay attention. Stand up. Speak out. Share this story. Because courage, and truth, has a power that fear can never touch. But as Amanda drifted into a fitful rest, one thought lingered like a shadow. Even though Benjamin was in custody, the fight for her recovery, the baby's safety, and her own freedom from fear had only just begun. And what would happen next? No one could predict. Amanda's room was quiet at first, but the stillness carried weight, the kind of heavy pause that comes just before everything changes. The hum of machines felt like a heartbeat she could follow, grounding her in a world she had fought so hard to survive. Her hand rested protectively over her belly, every little kick a reminder that life, stubborn and resilient, still pulsed inside her. Rachel sat beside her, scrolling through live updates. The donations, the messages, the public outcry, it was overwhelming. But something else flickered across the screen that made Rachel's stomach knot. Benjamin Carson had filed for an emergency hearing, trying to regain control, trying to manipulate the system to trap Amanda into silence. Amanda's eyes widened. He's not done. Rachel shook her head. Not even close. But we'll fight him. Together. A soft knock sounded at the door. A man in a plain suit entered, carrying a thick folder. He introduced himself quickly. I'm from the city's district attorney's office. May I speak with Ms. Harper? Amanda sat up slightly, wincing from the incision from her recent surgery. I'm Amanda, but my name's Carson. Well, her voice caught in her throat. What is this about? The man's expression was grave. We've received credible reports of coercion, threats, and financial manipulation related to Mr. Carson's behavior toward you. We'd like to discuss details to move forward with a formal investigation. Amanda's chest tightened. The room felt suddenly small, air heavy. After months of being silenced, of being abandoned when she needed protection, of feeling powerless while he manipulated everything around her, this was the first step that felt real. Real consequences. Real justice. Rachel whispered. This is it, Amanda. You're finally being heard. Amanda took a shaky breath. It's time, she said softly. Time people know who he really is. Meanwhile, in a penthouse across town, Benjamin Carson's lawyers shuffled papers frantically. Benjamin's face, pale and drawn, reflected in the glass windows overlooking the city. He scrolled through news alerts, the public backlash, the GoFundMe updates, the thousands of stories pouring in from women who had been silenced, abandoned, or betrayed. His hands trembled around his coffee cup. This can't be happening. I'm too powerful. I control everything. A lawyer looked up sharply. Mr. Carson, control is gone. People see the truth now. Courts are already preparing for preliminary hearings. Banks are freezing accounts. Investors are withdrawing. You're running out of time. Benjamin slammed his hand on the table. I'll stop her. She can't take everything from me. Back in the hospital, Amanda's phone buzzed again. A reporter had sent a private message. We want your side of the story. Millions are watching. Will you speak? Amanda glanced at Rachel. This is bigger than me. It's bigger than the baby. It's every woman who's ever been silenced. Rachel's eyes brimmed with tears. Then tell them. Let them hear the truth. Amanda tapped the screen, her fingers hovering over the keyboard. She paused, gathering every ounce of courage she had left. And then she typed, I am Amanda Carson. I survived his cruelty. I survived his abandonment. And I will speak for every woman he tried to erase. Within seconds, the story went live. Headlines exploded. Social media erupted. Benjamin's name was dragged through forums, articles, and trending threads worldwide. People weren't just outraged, they were enraged. Every post, every share, every comment turned against him. Benjamin watched from his penthouse, rage and panic coiling in his chest. They're lying. They don't know the truth. But they did. And they weren't backing down. Suddenly, his phone buzzed again. A message from an unknown number. She's stronger than you think. One wrong move and it's over. Tonight. Benjamin's knuckles whitened as he gripped the phone. He looked out over the city lights, realizing for the first time that he wasn't just facing public backlash. He was facing consequences he couldn't control, enemies he couldn't manipulate, and a truth he couldn't bury. Amanda, meanwhile, leaned back against her pillows, exhaustion settling in, but determination burning brighter than ever. She closed her eyes for a moment and whispered, For every woman who's been silenced, this ends now. The door creaked behind her. A nurse stepped in, looking unusually tense. Ms. Carson, there's a man here. He says he's a mediator. He wants to talk to you before the hearing. Amanda's eyes snapped open. A chill ran down her spine. Her instincts screamed danger. Rachel stepped forward, protective, tense. No, Rachel said firmly. You're not meeting him. Not without us. Amanda nodded, gripping Rachel's hand. Whatever happens, we're together. He can't touch us. But just as the nurse turned to leave, her phone buzzed again. Another text from an unknown number flashed on the screen. He's closer than you think. Be ready. Amanda's chest tightened. She looked down at her belly, at the life inside her, at the weeks of survival, pain, and courage that had brought her here. And she realized, Benjamin Carson wasn't finished. Not by a long shot. Outside, the city skyline glimmered, beautiful and indifferent, while inside a hospital room, Amanda Carson braced herself for the storm that was coming. One that could change everything, forever. And somewhere, Benjamin's presence was moving closer, inching toward the life he had tried to destroy, with consequences he didn't yet understand. The fight wasn't over. Not yet. And the next move could be the most dangerous of all. The room was thick with tension. Every beep of the machines felt like a countdown. Amanda lay propped against pillows, pale but alert, her hand resting over the curve of her belly. The months of fear, betrayal, and abandonment had brought her here, to the edge of survival, and now, the edge of victory. Rachel was by her side, phone in hand, monitoring updates from social media, news outlets, and the live streams of Benjamin Carson's unraveling empire. Every headline screamed his downfall. Board members resigning. Investors pulling out. Criminal investigations being launched. The man who had once controlled so much was now cornered, exposed, and desperate. Amanda swallowed hard, focusing on her breath. He's not done, she whispered, almost to herself. He won't stop until he destroys everything I've fought for. Rachel shook her head. Let him try. We've seen his cruelty. And we've survived it. He can't touch us. Not anymore. Amanda nodded, but her eyes narrowed. We can't just wait. We need to act. The door creaked open. A city attorney stepped in, briefcase in hand, papers spilling like warnings. Ms. Carson, the preliminary hearing is tomorrow morning. The DA wants your testimony. They're ready to move forward on multiple charges. Coercion, abandonment, financial manipulation. They want you to speak truth, And the public is behind you. Amanda's pulse quickened. This was the moment, the culmination of every tear, every sleepless night, every moment she had been silenced. "I'll do it," she said, her voice steady despite the exhaustion. "I'll tell them everything." Outside, Benjamin sat in a sterile interrogation room, slouched in a chair, phone buzzing constantly. His lawyer hovered near the door. "They've got her on the record. The public is watching. Every story, every donation, every article is evidence against you. You need a plan," the lawyer urged. Benjamin's eyes darkened. "She can't do this to me. She'll ruin me completely." "She already has," the lawyer said softly. "And if you make a move against her, it only adds to the charges." Benjamin slammed his fist on the table, anger radiating like fire. "I built this empire. I made it happen. She's nothing without me." The lawyer shook his head. "You've forgotten one thing, Benjamin. You abandoned her when she needed you most. You're alone in that." Meanwhile, Amanda and Rachel prepared for the hearing. Cameras were outside the courthouse, reporters lining the steps, live broadcasts trending nationally. She felt the weight of the world on her shoulders, the expectation, the hope, the countless women whose voices had been silenced. Amanda exhaled, gripping her folder tightly. If anyone else watching this has ever been silenced, abandoned, or told to stay quiet, don't. Speak. Fight. Your truth matters. It can destroy the lies. Rachel smiled, tears brimming. "You've carried this for everyone who couldn't." The courtroom doors opened, and Amanda stepped forward. Her steps were slow but deliberate, every ounce of frailty masked by unwavering courage. She met the eyes of the DA, the judge, the press, and finally, the eyes of Benjamin Carson, seated across the room, his arrogance crumbling into panic. She took a deep breath. "Your Honor, I am Amanda Carson. I survived abuse, abandonment, and betrayal. I am here today not just for myself, but for every woman who has been silenced by fear, by cruelty, and by men like Benjamin Carson." Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Cameras clicked. Live feeds went viral instantly. The DA nodded, motioning her forward. Benjamin's face went pale. He fumbled through papers, trying to find leverage, but the evidence, the witnesses, the testimony, everything was against him. The empire he had built on manipulation was collapsing. Amanda's voice grew stronger. "He forced me to perform at his wedding while I was 8 months pregnant, dying of cancer. He abandoned me when I needed help, lied about me, erased me from his life, and thought the world would forgive him because of money or status. But the truth is louder than his lies. And today it ends." Benjamin's jaw tightened. Panic replaced arrogance. He glanced around the courtroom, searching for a way out, a loophole, but the world was watching now. Every woman, every person who had ever suffered in silence was watching. And just as the judge banged the gavel to call order, Benjamin's lawyer whispered hurriedly, "Sir, something's happening outside." The courtroom doors burst open. A crowd had gathered, people holding signs, waving phones, chanting, "Justice for Amanda. Stop abuse. We believe her." Benjamin's hands shook. He looked at the swelling crowd through the glass panels, realizing too late that he had underestimated the power of exposure, the force of truth, the momentum of collective outrage. Amanda's lips curved into a small, victorious smile. She turned to Rachel, whispering, "We did this. Not just for me, but for everyone who's been silenced." Rachel squeezed her hand. "And we're not done yet. This is just the beginning." Outside, the media caught every moment. Social feeds erupted. Donations soared even higher. Public campaigns demanding accountability swept the country. Benjamin's name became synonymous with cruelty, abandonment, and exploitation. He had lost more than money, more than status. He had lost control over the story, over the narrative, over the very life he had tried to manipulate. Amanda looked down at her belly, feeling a kick, small but insistent. She whispered softly, We're going to be okay. I promise. We'll survive this too. As she left the courtroom, cameras flashing, the crowd cheering, Amanda realized something she hadn't felt in months. Safety. Not complete, not perfect, but enough to stand tall, enough to breathe, enough to fight for a life rebuilt from pain, betrayal, and survival. Benjamin Carson was defeated publicly, legally, and morally, but his shadow lingered. Amanda knew she had to remain vigilant. She had survived his cruelty once. She would survive anything he tried next. And the world was watching. If you've ever been silenced, abandoned, or made to feel powerless, let Amanda's story be your call to action. Speak out, demand justice, and never let fear win. Subscribe, share, and stand with those who fight in the shadows. You never know whose truth will inspire the world next. Amanda turned one last time toward the cameras, toward the city that had witnessed her pain, her courage, and her triumph. Her smile was soft, but it held the weight of survival, justice, and hope. And as the sun set over the skyline, she whispered quietly, for herself and for everyone watching, I am still here. And we will rise. The screen fades to black, but the story, the fight, the courage, the justice, lingers. Because the truth has power, and Amanda's voice will never be silenced again.